Title: The Maid Who Wouldn't Look Away. If you squeeze that trigger, you won't like what happens next. That's what I said, plain as a church bell in a ballroom full of people who only notice staff when the champagne stops flowing. And for a second, the whole room forgot how to breathe. I looked like a maid in a slate-gray apron, but the man with the gun knew I wasn't just there to polish crystal, you know what I mean. He had the tells, a badge that said AV with no gear, a blazer riding high over a shoulder rig, soft shoes made to run, and he kept scanning the exits like a metronome. One heartbeat later, his pistol kissed the host's temple. Julian Mercer, billionaire, with that practiced smile. And somewhere under the music, that old hum in my chest woke up. I blinked once. He blinked back. Then we moved. Mercer dropped low. I stepped through. Heel snapped his wrist. The gun clattered under a table. A second guy in a server jacket tried to fold me with a baton. And yeah, that happened. I rang his bell with the silver tray and let security dogpile the rest. Someone yelled, "Who are you?" "Tessa Cole," I said, steady voice used to be homeland. The chandeliers didn't flicker, but the air changed. Help turned human, and every phone within 10 miles learned to spell my name. By sunrise, the feeds had built a stranger who wore my face. Maid turned hero. Hero turned hoax. I sat in my walk-up tee going cold TV on mute, thinking I'd promised myself never to step back into the fire. Funny thing about fire, it walks. Mercer called first. "I want you on my team." And I told him no. He asked why, and I told him about Jax Moreno, my partner, who didn't make it out of a boarded house with the wrong names on the right envelopes. You carry a loss like a stone in your pocket. You forget it's there until you sprint, and it slaps your thigh. The second call came from a number that doesn't exist. Agent Decker, not my boss, not anyone's friend, said the two men at the gala belonged to a pipeline that moves guns, money, influence, and if I thought it ended under a chandelier, I was kidding myself. "They've seen your face," he said. "Watch your doors." So I walked into Mercer's glass castle, with the lake pretending to be an ocean behind him, and said the part nobody wanted to say out loud. "The shooters weren't there for you, they were there for your guest, Owen Pratt. Contractor logistics king, the kind of man who calls a crate and never asks what's inside. We got Pratt into a side room, and he laughed the kind of laugh that hurts your teeth. I signed things, he said, told myself it was just boxes. Then the reports rolled in. Kids with rifles in towns that don't have plumbing, soldiers dead with cereals no one could explain. I tried to walk, you don't walk, you just move slower and hope they stop noticing. "Who's above you?" I asked. He wrote a name on a donor card and slid it over like it was going to burn him. Victor Hale. Magazine covers, ribbon cuttings, boats the size of pharmacies. I said the name and the window blew in glass like frozen rain. That's how you know you've said something true in the wrong room. Paperwork lies, power bills don't. North Star Logistics had a Southside warehouse labeled farm equipment with razor wire that said otherwise. We watched from a van that smelled like coffee and old carpet. "You're really going in there," Mercer said. "I'm going in there," I said. "And you're listening." Heel to toe, breathe through the nose fingers, only where metal already shines. Inside smelled like oil, not soil. Crates said seed drills, innards said rifles with their names shaved off. I raised my phone for one photo, the world turned white, and a man stepped onto a catwalk like he'd rehearsed the entrance. "Ms. Cole, Mr. Mercer. Mr. Hale appreciates your curiosity. He told us he could have killed us in the parking lot, but preferred the television of catching us trespassing. That's the kind of hate money has for anyone who won't read the script." He signaled his men. I told Mercer to shoot the chain on the overhead crane. Control, Sparks screamed. The pallet swung, the catwalk groaned, and we ran through noise that felt like hail on tin. By the time we hit asphalt, the headlines were already spun. Billionaire and rogue ex-Fed stage arms bust. Funny how lies travel with police escorts. Uniforms scooped us before the freeway. The precinct smelled like disinfectant and old coffee. Detective Monroe, tall and tired, laid out grainy photos and asked if we were cleaning up our own mess. I told him to send a squad before the warehouse turned into a cornfield. His jaw said he wanted to help, his badge said he remembered who signs budgets. He left. Decker slid in, closed the door with his shoe, and said, "I can't get you out, but I can forget to lock a door." 5 seconds later, the camera hum hiccuped. The glass wall showed me a seam, and I kicked it until a man-made thing remembered it wasn't magic. We ran into the night like it owed us change. If they can erase one server room, they keep another. Redundancy is the lullaby of organized crime. I'd lifted a maintenance log off a guard's belt, tiny print at the bottom: North Star Secondary, Southworks Industrial. Midnight razor wire red doors. 2 guards smoked behind a dumpster, radios chirped every 7 minutes, my bypass kit kissed the keypad, and the air dropped 10 degrees. Rows of servers pulsing like heart monitors, the room humming with money talking to itself. I slotted a drive, watched contracts spill like confessions, shell companies hopscotching through islands that only exist for people who name their boats names. You vote for names you salute. That's the moment the lights snapped off and the red wash rolled in, and Victor Hale walked out of the shadow of his own myth, flanked by professionals. "You're consistent, Ms. Cole," he said. "You bring the billionaire the flash drive, that stubborn little need to balance a ledger that never balances." Then he said Jax's name, casual and cruel, and my hands shook in a way I hate. I ripped the drive, shoved it into Mercer's palm. "Run." We almost made the door, but his men folded us, zip ties biting, and hauled us to a private aquarium for people, glass cells, and cameras humming. Hale came to gloat. "Corpses are forgettable. Disgrace lasts longer. I want you to watch as you fail." I asked why he didn't kill us. He said breaking hope is smarter than breaking bone. He left. The camera loop hiccuped, the seam gave. Mercer learned he could run in dress shoes, and the sky tasted like cold metal when we finally breathed it. We went to ground in a shuttered bookstore, one light swinging, the real drive in my hand. Backup of a backup, because sometimes paranoia is just experience with better shoes. Files bloomed. Grants that were gifts, that were bribes, guns labeled as aid wires timed to votes. Hale wasn't a person, he was a doorway. Good people walked through to do bad things politely. "If we release this," Mercer said, "we don't just topple a man, we tilt the whole board." "Then let it tilt," I said. "Maybe it lands where it should have been." That's when the footsteps hit above us. Not drunks, not thieves, the measured scuff of trained boots. Back door blew, we ran, and the alley funneled us into a black SUV with Hale's smile parked under a streetlight. "Hand me the drive," he said, "and maybe Mr. Mercer lives long enough to sign what I tell him." I put myself between the gun and the only billionaire I've ever told to breathe through his nose. "You should have killed me when you had the chance." "I want you alive," he said. "I want you to see how powerless you are." Then a new voice cut the night. "Drop your weapons." And Agent Decker stepped in with a small clean unit that looked like the kind of feds TV gets wrong. Math shifted. Everyone did the stupid thing at once. Gunfire is a language, and we were already fluent. We dove, rolled, came up behind a dumpster that ate 3 rounds like breakfast. Decker's team pressed in tight. Hale slid toward his car like entitlement on wheels, and I hit him before he hit leather. We bounced off the hood. His elbow cracked my jaw. His knife flashed cheap, because rich men save money on the tools they don't respect. I twisted his wrist, the knife rang the sidewalk, and I told him what he built. Every grave, every ghost. He spit something about power outliving bodies. I drove my fist into his throat hard enough to end the speech. Decker's people cuffed him, and for one hot second I thought about adding a period to the end of his sentence. I didn't. Not because he deserved mercy, but because I refused to become the thing I fight. Jax didn't make it home so I could turn into a mirror of the man who made sure of it. We didn't celebrate. Decker said the drive goes to people who remember what their badges mean, said it'll tear the city before it heals. Mercer, bleeding, but standing, asked what we do now. We disappear, I said, and we prepare. Because Victor Hale is a symptom, not the system, and systems don't go quietly. By dawn, I was a traitor on one channel and a saint on another, comments rolling like weather. Some folks said a maid should have stayed in her lane. Others said lanes are for roads, not lives. People asked how many times a city can forgive itself and still sleep. Here's your twist. The charges won't all stick if the judge drinks the same bourbon at the same lake house. The drive will get edited by hands that swear they're clean. Some names will vanish under legal ink-stamped national security. But the machine won't hum the same, not anymore, because one woman in an apron refused to look away, and a man with money stopped hiding behind other men. I still carry the stone in my pocket. It still knocks my thigh when I sprint. And when somebody asks if I was scared, I say yes. Fear isn't the enemy. It's the reminder you're still alive. It sharpens the edge you need when a room tries to turn you into furniture. So tell me, did we do the right thing? Or did we just trade one kind of chaos for another? Have you seen someone written into a lie because of their job, their skin, their paycheck, their address? If you'd been in that ballroom, would you have looked away? Or would you have told the man with the gun he wouldn't like what came next? Drop your story in the comments. Argue with me, tell me what justice looks like where you live, not in theory, but in the hallway outside your door at 2 a.m. when the world is loud and no one's filming.